HQ, Cavaliers star James Harden dealing with a broken bone in his right thumb. A reminder that's his non-shooting hand. Harden apparently suffered that injury in last night's win over the Knicks. The team adds it's a non-displacement fracture and that Harden will undergo treatment for further evaluation. He's officially listed as questionable for tonight's game at Milwaukee. Let's go over the breaking news. Tommy Tran, Jenny Dell, Ashley Nicole Moss, and Brad Botkin. Cavs are 6-1 since the Harden trade. They're playing good basketball, but what's your reaction to the news that we're learning today, Ash?
Well, one, fortunate it's not a shooting hand. That's one. It's interesting he's questionable tonight, though, because I would believe that could just be a technicality also. I would assume that you would want to figure out what's going on and how to attack that so it doesn't become a bigger problem and not worry so much about tonight's game specifically. If he ends up playing, though, is a different question, is a different conversation. I would be surprised if he ended up playing just because right now it's not a big deal, but you never want someone to absolutely bump into your hand, you fall, you use your hand to kind of stop your balance or to break your fall, and that little thing now becomes a big thing, and that big thing has a domino effect to the rest of the team. So I would be actually very interested if he ended up playing tonight.
Yeah, I'd be super surprised if he's playing tonight. I haven't heard anything about surgery being, but a broken thumb is incredibly painful. You're talking, I mean, yes, it's not on his shooting hand, but you're talking about a guy who plays with incredible feel with his hands, passing with both hands, ball handler, ball always in his hands. I mean, have you guys ever tapped your finger when you have like a hangnail? Yeah. You got a little busted thumb on the end of your thumb, and you're always handling the ball. To think that that's not going to affect performance in some capacity, I think, would be a bit naive. So I'm interested to see how long this recovery timetable comes out to be. Where will he actually be healthy by the playoffs? If he doesn't have surgery, they'll get through. I mean, it stinks. They've been hot. They've won 13 of 15. Even before he came, they were getting hot. But they've solidified their position for the most part in the East. They're going to be a top 6 team. Can he be ready to be 100% by the playoffs would be the only question that Cleveland should be concerned about.
And I think when they're saying Harden is undergoing further evaluations and treatment, I think the treatment aspect is seeing if it's something that can be rectified sooner rather than later without surgery. And I think the further evaluations is them figuring out what is the course of action, one, to, again, possibly avoid surgery, or if he's going to need surgery. But I do expect them to be cautious. Again, not his shooting hand, but you still want to be cautious. Anything can happen in the course of a game that makes a little thing a big thing, and you don't want a big thing when you made a trade for a player that you expected to be available for you in the postseason with your hopes of being a contender.
So obviously we're waiting on more information and details when it comes to this, but you look at their schedule right now. The Cavs have 4 games over the next week, so this is an incredibly busy stretch for them, tied with the Knicks for 3rd in the East.
Yeah.
When you think about the proper way to manage this, and again, we have very little detail on what exactly is going on, do you think it's be conservative over this next week and just make sure he's okay?
Yeah, because they're in the Eastern Conference and they are solidified. They were making a run at, potentially being able to catch Boston for a 2 seed, but even if you slip back, to a 5, even a 6, you don't prefer that, but you're in that top 6. You certainly want to err on him being ready to go. What stinks for this is that the reason they made this trade was that Darius Garland could not stay healthy throughout the course of the year. He was in and out. The toe kept popping up. And a lot of the rationale for this trade, trading a 26-year-old all-star for an aging 36-year-old James Harden, was a complete and total short-term move. At least he's healthy this year. He comes in, they go 6-1 since the trade, and then boom, he's injured. I'm going to be very interested if this impacts his performance because he'll play. They've got too much on the line. They invested too much in him with the Garland trade. He's going to end up playing. But will this be something that lingers?
You think tonight or just?
I don't know, not tonight. I'm saying like,
when he gets back.
whenever he comes back, Broken thumb is a broken thumb. I think he'll be able to play non-shooting hand, but is he going to be 70%?
Yeah.
That's the question.
And I think to Brad's point, you have the benefit of your conference. If this was the Western Conference, we'd be having a different conversation, especially at this point in the season going into March, right? But I do think you have the benefit of being in a conference that is debilitated by injury in some way, shape, or form, especially when you talk about some of the teams that were in the mix last year. You will probably slide down a little bit, but if you have a healthy James Harden coming back, especially if he doesn't need surgery, you do have your chance of either raising in the standings slightly, depending on how much time's left in the regular season, or at least giving your best chance in the postseason, depending on what that matchup looks like. But you have to move cautiously with this scenario because, like I said, it could be a small thing right now, but that can turn into a big thing, and then you're having a different conversation about your season.
This is a look at the betting odds to win the East, which we've talked about for various reasons, and injuries is wide open. The Cavs are betting favorites.
These are the current odds?
Yeah.
Yeah, that will probably change after the Harden stuff.
But that shows you just how well they've been playing. I mean, Detroit has been the best team in the league.
Right.
Wow.
What surprises you so much, Ash?
Well, because the Cavs have been in the tank all year. They've won 13 of 15.
I'm actually surprised.
If they put that graphic up in Detroit, people will.
I'm actually surprised to Brad's point, the Cavs have been playing incredible. We're talking about the number 1 seeded Pistons, and you're putting them against the Boston Celtics, who've been doing this all season, and even my New York Knicks. The Cavs just got in the conversation.
Because people think the Harden addition was that big of a deal.
That's crazy.
So that's why this is a big. That's why this is a big story.
Buy some Detroit stock. By the way,
I don't know.
We saw the 6-1 record breakdown, and most people, I don't think, outside of Cavs fans that watched James Harden with this team, maybe outside of the Thunder game, which was a nationally televised game. Remind us what James was doing for the Cavs during this short term.
He's already got fantastic two-man chemistry with Jared Allen. Jared Allen a couple of days ago, and maybe even last night, if he's playing the best of his career, and he said, yes, this is the best I've played. Is that a coincidence? He'd been playing well even before Harden came, but having that kind of ball handler at the top, James Harden, one of the best pocket passers, best rolling big man hitters that we've ever seen. So we talk about his scoring. He is so good in the two-man game when you get that roller downhill. Now Donovan Mitchell is spaced out to the corner, and you have a pick your poison situation for the defenses. Do you sag down off of Donovan Mitchell now, who used to have to create at the point of attack all the time? Now Harden's got the ball, and he plays that two-man game with Jared Allen. You either got to suck down to stop that roller, or you got to stay out with Donovan Mitchell. And the pick your poison thing, we've already seen multiple instances where defenses have chosen both paths. They've come down to shut off Jared Allen on the roll, and he slings it over to the corner to Donovan Mitchell, who's now attacking against a rotating defense. Or the guy says, understandably so, I can't leave Donovan Mitchell, and that leaves the lane open for Jared Allen to roll. That action right there, James Harden coming off DHOs and playing downhill with Jared Allen with Donovan Mitchell off ball, has made them a much more dynamic offense. Garland offered a lot of that when he was there, but he just wasn't consistently healthy this year. So they got that back, and this is a team that won 64 games last year. This is for this reason. This is why those odds, maybe we don't agree with them, but this is why those odds are spiking, because they were the best team in the East all last regular season, and now Harden had provided such a strategic spark to their offense, and now he's hurt. So that's why this is a big story. Maybe it's a little thing, maybe he can play with that non-shooting hand, but because of everything he added, and because of the momentum that they have built recently, it's a big story.
Ash, final word here?
No notes to add. Brad completely nerded out, and he's completely accurate. I'm here for it. Listen, they made this move because they needed to make the move. And James Harden, to all the things that you can say about him, he's a phenomenal ball handler, and he's one of the best we've ever done it when it just comes to ISO ball in general. And I think that this is going to be massive for the Cavs while they're trying to, put themselves in position to be in a good position come the postseason. And this is when basketball starts to get really tight, when you start talking March, April, and losing someone of James Harden's magnitude at this point in the season. If we were talking pre-All-Star break, if we were talking, January, February, wouldn't be that bad. But we're going into March, and the competition's only going to get tighter. Jason Tatum may or may not be returning. The East is going to start looking a little bit different. Everyone's going to start taking these games more seriously, and you want to make sure that you have your second best, sometimes your best player, depending on the night, available for all of those.
Who was it? Was Kobe play with the broken pinky? Wasn't that the famous?
Yeah.
He played with the broken pinky. maybe he can get some, some street cred. Come on here with the broken thumb and still ball out.
All right, Ashley Nicole Mass, Brad Bodkin with this breaking news out of the NBA. Appreciate you both. James Harden dealing with a broken bone in his right thumb, officially listed as questionable for tonight's game at Milwaukee.
I feel disrespected.